Pure Religion, Kondo, take 1.1.
My name is Kondo Simfukwe. I live in Warsaw, Indiana, and I get to serve as a pastor at Mission Point Community Church. In our community, we are viewed as a mission-focused church, almost as though there are some churches that are more focused on discipleship and growth in Jesus, and then there are other churches that are more focused on mission and doing for Jesus. And for us, we believe pure religion makes these two one and the same. I would say it's pretty beautiful at our church that our people have not really distinguished between loving Jesus and living like Jesus. That for us has become in so many ways one and the same thing. So there's been a little bit of a breaking of that compartmentalizing that says, we are going to follow Jesus, but we are not going to follow what Jesus calls us to. So I think for us as a church, it's been pretty beautiful to remember that the same Savior who calls us to care for the vulnerable child is the same Savior who calls us to look like Him and to live like Him in the purity of our lives. And so we've seen that consistency grow. That's to love Jesus, is to look like Jesus, is to live like Jesus. And there isn't this blurring between those lines. For me, personally, there is a growing dependence. My wife and I have entered into the space of caring for the vulnerable child, and it has been one of the most challenging and most painful and most lonely experiences of our lives. And what we found that has caused in us is this: Jesus, are you sure you're the one who's called us to this? Because this has been harder than we possibly could have imagined, and it's definitely harder than anything we feel like we can do in and of ourselves. And it has just driven us to a place of begging and pleading and needing Him, and begging and pleading and needing Him more. And the more we've cried out to Him, the more we've experienced Him showing up and encouraging us and bringing other people into our stories who are saying we're struggling with the same thing. And that's been the story we've heard with so many in our church, that we stepped into these spaces and realized we were out of our depth and we were struggling and we were lonely, and we cried out to Jesus, and He showed up and He brought other people around us, and we saw Him as better than we ever imagined and closer than we'd ever known Him to be, as we sat on the shores of safety. And that's just been the story and the chorus we've heard over and over again. Dependent people crying out to Jesus and experiencing Him in the middle of the mess and finding Him to be exactly as He says He is. We believe this is what pure religion actually looks like.